Hello my dear friends, welcome back to my channel. Before we start today's video, I'd like to ask you once again to check whether you are subscribed and to leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to do so now. It really helps the channel grow and develop. Thank you in advance, and I hope you enjoy the video. Today we are going to cook a beef steak in a rather unusual way, not in a frying pan and not on a regular grill. Instead, we'll be cooking it in a tandoor, together with grilled vegetables and baked potatoes with spices. We begin with preparing the ingredients. This will probably take the most time. First, we peel the potatoes and slice them into thin pieces. We cut them thin so they bake through nicely and quickly. If you cut them too thick, they'll take much longer to cook, and by then we might all be old and hungry. Once the potatoes are sliced, we add a bit of sunflower oil, salt, pepper to taste, and our favorite spices. Today I'm using smoky barbecue rubs. I really like this seasoning, and in my opinion, it works perfectly with potatoes. We mix everything thoroughly, enjoy the aroma, and set the potatoes aside. We cover them so nothing unnecessary gets into the bowl, and so the hungry autumn flies don't eat everything before we do. Then we patiently wait for cooking time. Next, we move on to the meat. We take out our long-awaited steaks and pat each one dry with a paper towel to remove excess moisture from the surface. This helps the seasoning stick better to the meat. I'm using a spice blend that, in my opinion, works especially well for this kind of steak. It's a Mediterranean seasoning mix. We lightly brush the surface of steaks with sunflower oil and sprinkle them evenly with spices to taste. While the meat is resting, we move on to the vegetables. Today I'm keeping it simple: onion and sweet pepper. We cut them into fairly large pieces and marinate them in soy sauce with a little sunflower oil. The oil helps the spices open up, and the soy sauce gives the vegetables that nice Asian style flavor. If you like, you can also add eggplant, zucchini, or garlic. It all depends on your taste. But today I decided to keep it simple with just onion and pepper. The aroma already smells absolutely amazing. For a bit of variety, I also added some corn cut into small pieces. We'll marinate that as well and then send it into the tandoor. The corn will bake separately next to the meat, while the onion and paprika will be cooked into the wok. We mix everything thoroughly, cover it, and place it somewhere cool so it can sit for a little while and soak up all those flavors. Now, we smoothly move over to the tandoor. We light it using paper, thin wood chips, and dry firewood. If needed, we add a few more small pieces of wood of the right size. We help ourselves with an axe to get the proper amount of firewood, because cooking should always include at least a little bit of controlled violence. Since the wood is dry, the fire catches very quickly. We fill the tandoor to about 2/3 with wood and wait until it burns down well, hitting the walls of the tandoor. This can take about an hour.
A few moments later.
So the tandoor is now hot, and I think it's time to load up our cooking rack. On the bottom tier I place a pizza stone. It will act as a heat deflector, so the lowest level of our rack doesn't burn. Just to be safe, we wipe the top crate with a paper towel. We clean the lower one too, so our steaks and vegetables go onto a nice clean surface. The smell from the marinated vegetables and the prepared meat is already incredible. Honestly, it smells so good that you want to start tasting everything before it even goes in. Today I ended up with several steaks of different sizes, two smaller ones and one larger one, and one of them even split in half. Well, that's life. Not every steak survives the journey with dignity. Anyways, we place everything on the rack. Next to the meat, we put the corn, which has also marinated nicely and is completely ready for baking. At the same time, we start heating up the wok, where we'll be frying the vegetables. Frying, not baking, because the vegetables need a very hot surface. They cook quickly, I think about 5 minutes will be enough. With constant stirring, they'll be ready in no time. These vegetables are great both hot and cold. After they've cooled down a little, they're delicious in any form. Carefully place the vegetables into the wok. Mmm, what a beautiful sizzling sound. It looks and sounds incredibly appetizing. And of course, during the cooking process, we absolutely must do the chef's tasting test. That part is non-negotiable. The vegetables should become slightly soft, but still keep a bit of firmness. You don't want to cook them until they are completely soft. That's the whole point. This level of doneness gives them amazing flavor and a fantastic texture. The whole scene is just incredible. The sound of vegetables sizzling in the wok, the aroma coming off them, it's honestly hard to describe in words. It feels like we are somewhere in Central Asia, even though we are currently in Western Australia. Now it's time to install the temperature probes into our steaks. Why is this important? Because we are not going to cook by time, we are going to cook by internal temperature. This allows us to get the most accurate results possible and achieve exactly the doneness we want while keeping the steak juicy and full of flavor. We place the thermometer probes into the thickest parts. The coals in the tandoor need to be spread evenly across the bottom so there are no spots with too much concentrated heat.
A few moments later.
Then we add 2 cherry wood chunks for smoking and a small handful of wood chips, just in case the chunks alone aren't enough. This will give the meat an even richer smoky aroma. And now comes the most important moment. We lower our rack with all the food into the tandoor. We make sure the probes are properly connected and showing the correct temperature. Meanwhile, we switch back to the wok and take the vegetables off the heat. They are fully ready to serve. The smell is absolutely incredible. Then we remove the wok from the heat so the remaining oil and liquid don't burn, and so I can wash the wok later without regretting all my life choices. The smell coming from the tandoor is just divine. The aroma of smoke, the smoking wood, the baked potatoes and the meat all come together and create an absolutely unreal appetite. Let's check what the probes are showing. The target temperature has been reached. The meat is done. Time to take our dish out of the tandoor. Everything looks absolutely amazing. Carefully remove the probes from the meat. They have done their job. This time I want to do the tasting right away, straight while everything is still piping hot. Waiting any longer is simply impossible. For the tasting we take a few potatoes, a small piece of steak, a couple of pieces of corn, and of course our Asian style vegetables. The onion and paprika smell absolutely fantastic. The steak is well done, and the seasoning combination is excellent. The salt and pepper are perfectly balanced. The vegetables have a wonderful crunch. The paprika and onion feel like they were simply made for this dish. Honestly, I I would recommend everyone try cooking vegetables this way. Minimal cost, no special cookware required. If you want, you can make them in a regular pot or frying pan, and the flavor is easily a 10 out of 10. As for the tandoor, unfortunately not everyone has one, but it really is an amazing invention. If you have the chance to find and buy a tandoor in your area, I would absolutely recommend it. The dishes you get from it are fully special and unlike almost anything else. To be honest, it's very hard for me to stop tasting right now. Good thing I only served myself a small portion. Otherwise, I might have quietly eaten everything I cooked, and my family would have been left hungry without getting to try anything. Well, friends, take a look at what's left after my tasting. An empty plate and a full avalanche of positive emotions. And now, it's time to say goodbye. As always, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, share this video and write a comment. Thank you all very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.